Hello, everyone. X-Wall Kill Bethelite here. And to expand your mind, to expand your horizons, a lot of times what you need to do is change your environment, because if you've only seen one environment, a lot of your ideals and concepts can stem not from the truth, but from your surroundings, from your environment. An example of that is race in America. I'm black, and I have seen it all as far as, black people being treated a certain way. I think I've spoken here about going out in service, field service, with a full suit, dress shoes, full suit from top to bottom. And some of the areas that we were preaching in was all white. The congregation that I was preaching, that I was a part of at that time, we would drive way out and distribute magazines. I don't know why we did it. We did. We probably weren't supposed to. Some of the places we drove out to were all white. And I would get out and I would get followed around. Sometimes I'd want to stop and grab something to drink. I'd get followed around in my full suit. The concept that a black person is in any way, shape, or form somehow more prone to criminality or violence or anything else was so embedded in these people's minds because of their environment. They don't see anything but white people. And what they know about black people, they probably got off a rap video or the news or what they tell each other. So when they see a black person, even though he's got a full suit on, as religious as I could possibly be at the time, and they're still following me around. People need to step outside their environment. I realized this more so when I began to travel. I'm in San Antonio, Texas now. One of the big differences here is the area that I'm in. There aren't very many black people that I run into at all. I can go a week and maybe see one black person, and I'm talking about being out and about a lot during that week, going to different stores, I could see a black person one other time that week. So a lot of the feeling of being followed around, different things like that, kind of dissipate when you're in a city where you got crime, you got violence, you got things that are run down. You can't go to a McDonald's here, Church's Chicken, a Taco Bell. You can't place an order at the drive-through and then get what you order. Like, you got places that are run down. You go to the Subway, the little thing that they use to toast your sandwiches don't work. We got a Six Flags here. Keep in mind, there are no black people. There aren't very many. When I say there aren't very many. I probably will not see but maybe one today. The Six Flags is run down. Like, every ride is broken. I've never been there and all of the rides been functioning. Everything's run down. The apartments where we're at, you got stuff in the yards. People just find stuff to throw out in the yard. They got all kinds of issues. One of the apartments burned down. All these problems, and there isn't even the slightest notion that I did it. I'm the black guy there. Not the only one, but I'm the black guy here. And all these problems, there is no notion that I did it because the vast majority are of another racial makeup. I would have never known this type of environment if I had not changed where I lived, changed the scenery. Where I used to live in Ohio, if there was something going on and the police were after somebody, chasing somebody, and I saw a whole bunch of cop cars all over the place, they're about to crack down on something, I would take my behind home because I know there's a good chance I look like what they're after. Here, I walk as a black man, I walk past cop cars smiling. Whatever happened, I didn't do it. And I don't even look like the person that you after. I mean, you got cop cars everywhere in the apartment complex. There was on a news where they arrested a whole bunch of people in a gang in an apartment complex, and they was all Latin or something, or Mexican or Spanish. I don't know, but none of them were black. You have to physically sometimes remove yourself from certain areas and certain concepts to be able to grow, expand, learn. I used to work at the airport when I first got here. And the first mention of baby mamas and whatnot was a white guy. And I don't, of course, have a problem with him. I like darn near everybody. It's a white guy, and he was about as, the stereotypical redneck type thing, where basically just a ghetto white person. He was that. I mean, oh my God, he was that. And he's talking about his baby mama, this, that, and the other. This redneck as can be. This baby mama he talking about is a black woman. Like the racial roles are flipped upside down. Wait a minute. The whole baby mama thing ain't got nothing to do with you being black. Because this guy is as white as he can be. And he on the phone talking about his baby mama, talking about his visitation rights and all this other stuff. And he ain't black. I mean, I don't know that you see too many black women with black men around here. It's a lot of really, really ghetto white people or redneck or whatever verbiage you want to put on it. The stereotype that you give a black person, you have other people that act that way. The racial roles are just destroyed when you come to an area where there aren't any black people. For the most part, there are not that many black people, but all the problems are still here. That means we ain't causing them. I love walking into a store, and I wish somebody would follow me around because, yeah, they most likely had something stolen, but it wasn't nobody that was black. I would love to be able to tell somebody that. I mean, you have to be able to experience a different environment to make sure your belief system is based off the truth, not based off your environment. There's a few blacks that live in the apartment complex, but as far as the concept of being ghetto, we can't even compete with the majority there. And it's a mixture of white and Latin and other people, but basically they're non-black. We can't even compete with being as ghetto as they are. They got everything that you can imagine is out in the yard. They done thrown it out in the yard. They done thrown it in our yard. The people that live above us don't have a yard, so they throw stuff down into our yard. They're as loud as can be. I don't know. They got cowboy boots and they're like tap dancing upstairs or something. Like they're as loud as can be. There's every problem you can imagine. And we can't connect it to being black. We can't connect none of these problems from being black. Matter of fact, whenever I do see another black guy like me, and I'm at the store or wherever I am, and I start hearing them talk, it's like the most eloquent speaking person there. I mean, most likely these are people who did not grow up in an environment where they were told or taught they're supposed to be ghetto. Because these other black guys apparently don't know that. I hear them talk and I'm like, this guy sounds like he goes to Harvard or something. You know what I mean? Intellect has nothing to do with race. The problems certain cities have don't really have anything to do with race. I think that a lot of that comes from the media. It comes from, one race did have more of a head start than the others. Certain races don't have very many businesses that they own, so money is an issue. There's certain things that are issues, but they're not racially. It's America, and the biggest myths are in regards to beliefs about other races. Most of the panhandlers, the people out asking for money that you drive past and they got the signs, they're mostly white. I don't think I've seen a black panhandler here. They're mostly all white. It blew my mind when I got here because I was hit with the same information as everybody else, that the stuff you see in rap videos is real, and that's really a depiction of black people, and the stuff you see on TV where people are being loud, the comedians are being loud, and that's a real depiction of black people, or the concept of being real is being loud and obnoxious and rude. That a lot of that stems from the media and what people want to believe. It's what people want to believe. You go somewhere outside of those areas and you see all those roles being filled by people who are not black. It just goes to show that, I went outside to get something out my car, and you got a guy all tattooed up with the freaking ankle bracelet on because he's got house arrest or whatever, and a gang thing hanging out of his pocket, and he's not black. It's like, what's going on here? Y'all are confusing the racial thing here. It's y'all, you know what I mean? So basically, Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of what they believe is true has to do with their environment. They're not allowed to go and experience a different church. They're not allowed to go and see what those people are like. The only thing that they know is what they were taught and what they got out of a watchtower, or what they heard from an ex-Catholic Baptist Pentecostal who was angry at that church is the reason why they became a Jehovah's Witness. Because they were mad. So a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, what they know about other churches, they're getting that from people who are essentially prejudiced against that church to begin with. They're mad, otherwise they wouldn't have been in the Kingdom Hall to begin with. They weren't getting the same shine as they would get in a Kingdom Hall, where you don't have to have any kind of education, so to speak, in theology to do anything. But yeah, one of these days I'm going to have to put up some pictures of the outside of some of just on the ground and things of apartment, the complex where I am, where there ain't black people doing it, and you got everything. You got Skittles wrappers, you got clothes, you got backpacks, you got, I don't know, look like somebody pulled the back off of a TV and threw that out there. Like I don't know, it seems like they're trying to find stuff to throw out in the yard. Like, we ain't doing it. It's not true what they're saying. What they're saying in the media a lot of times and on the news, and what they say as far as these stats, is we're doing it. Go somewhere where there aren't any black people, and they can't blame you because there ain't nobody there aren't many of you here. They cannot blame you when everybody's another race. And look around and see if you don't see the same problem. So comment down below. Let me know if anybody else has had this experience. The only time I experienced that when I was in Ohio is when I went to a trailer park, and everybody in there was white, and the situation was messed up. You know what I mean? It's like there's something that we're being taught in America that's not true. Because you got all these people who are in situations regardless of race. Race isn't the reason. And a lot of what we have going on has to do with the area people were raised in, has to do with it's easy to manipulate information if you control all the outlets of that information, and that's what Watchtower does. Watchtower ain't the only ones that do it, but that's what Watchtower does. We will control what you see, what you read, and it's a whole lot easier to lie to you when we know you don't have access to the truth. The media, everybody. It's a whole lot easier to lie to everybody when we know we own the networks. We control the information that you get. Once we tell you something that's a lie, we know you don't have access to anything that's going to show you any different, so to speak. So that's what, you know, you have to do in order to really gain an understanding of things, is step outside your environment for a second and ask yourself, is what I believe dictated by my environment, just limited knowledge of the topic as a whole, but just reacting off my immediate environment and what I see around me. If we could get Jehovah's Witnesses to do that, we could get Jehovah's Witnesses to go and visit a church and see. When I went to a Baptist church, one of the things that surprised me was that these Baptists are praying for other churches. They're praying for everybody. The Baptists are praying for the Catholic. They're praying for everybody. You don't even have to be going to that church, but they're praying for you. And I, growing up Jehovah's Witness, never saw that. The only thing that we wanted to do is blame other religions for all the problems in religion. We weren't praying for them we just wanted to convert them. If a Jehovah's Witness got into an environment like that, it would blow the roof off the concept that Jehovah's Witnesses are just good people. They get some things wrong, but they're trying to get as much correct as possible. I mean, that's not true, because Jehovah's Witnesses still have the structural makeup that they always have had. A bunch of theologically illiterate people are out trying to teach others. That structure does not work. None of the people knocking on your doors, which they're not doing right now, have any kind of actual education in religion. Look at it this way. Even if Jehovah's Witnesses were to use the quote unquote school or whatever they want to call it now as their curriculum, they won't officially come out and even do that, because then that would put their curriculum out there as, okay, well, let's examine your curriculum. And you would see just a whole lot of inaccurate information that is not suitable to teach anyone. You can't teach somebody to be fluent in something if the information they're using to teach with is all incorrect. And that's the primary issue with Jehovah's Witnesses. They keep having to change stuff because they keep getting everything wrong. None of these people could have possibly been educated correctly if all their information has always been wrong. And that is a structure that they have not even tried to change. Jehovah's Witnesses have not even attempted to get a curriculum to teach their members who are in the position of teaching others. They've not even attempted to do that. These people just read magazines. And these magazines have questions at the bottom of them, and they go into the paragraph and they find the answer. To them, I guess that's being educated. Just reading magazines. These people, that is so ridiculous. You cannot tell me Jehovah's Witnesses are even trying to get things right when they're not even trying to get a curriculum to teach people the Bible. What's your curriculum? We don't have one. We just read magazines. Can I be a doctor just by reading medical magazines? Can I be an engineer just by going to Barnes and Nobles and reading the magazines? Nobody can be anything just by reading magazines. Jehovah's Witnesses are not just a bunch of good people trying to do right, because otherwise they would at least do the common sense stuff right. That at least have some kind of curriculum that they can teach people, that they're not trying to hide and afraid that people are going to find the curriculum because everything in it is wrong. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Have you ever culturally been taught something about life, society, people in general? Move to an area where you have different faces, different cultures, different groups, and everything that you taught was wrong. Everything you were taught was wrong. Share those experiences. 937-789-4029. If I have time, we'll discuss it. I've been working a lot, and I've been busy with a lot of different things. X Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.